Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting of August 15th, 2024, here at Rose Baker. We are conducting this meeting in a hybrid mode. It's an in-person meeting with people able to participate on Zoom. For the record, the Zoom link is 824-8319-1574. I recognize in attendance myself, Joe Parisi, Catherine Schlichty, Ronald Wilson, and Michael Nyman. And I would declare we have a quorum and we'll open the public meeting. Our first order of business is the adoption of the minutes of 4 sets of minutes, June 13th, June 27th, July 11th, and July 25th. I'd like to, unless there's any objections or omissions, I'll take them all as one.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of the June 13th, June 27th, July 11th, and July 25th minutes.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call vote.
Ms. Schlichty?
Yes.
Mr. Nyman? Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Parisi?
Yes. Minutes are accepted. One other order of business. I'd like to entertain a motion to change our October 31st meeting, which is Halloween, to October 24th. Get a motion on that effect? I have to trick or treat.
I can make that motion to change our October 31st meeting to October 24th.
Second.
Made and seconded. Roll call.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Schlichty? Yes. Mr. Nyman?
Yes.
Mr. Parisi?
Yes. Okay, our first hearing of the evening. Application, the petition of Paul and Gretchen Gross, seeking a special permit under 1.10.1 and 3.1.6 to increase building height and variances 1.7 for rear yard setback for an accessory structure at 18 Seafox Lane, I think it is. Yeah, Lane. Are they online or are they here? Oh, come on up. Take the podium. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, it was not on the,
It's actually correct here, but
on your app. Obviously, you got your app right.
I did note the two different ones, but I was pretty sure.
Yeah, on the ad, it's wrong, okay. Go ahead, we can tell us about your project.
An exception to the rear lot line setback requirement. Also, due to the slope of the property and the average grade as determined by the site civil engineering firm, we also need to exceeding the maximum height for an accessory building, I think, as you said, although it will still be a one-story building. The reasons we're seeking these variances to the standards are two. First, the substantial amount of ledge that exists in most of the property, and second, the topography of the lot, which has a steep grade, which makes a significant portion of the lot behind the planned location completely unbuildable. Hired a civil engineer, we've hired for ground and drainage plan as well as an architect. Both these plans are submitted. If you look at the engineering plan, you can see the substantial amount of ground ledge that is clearly delineated. In person, it's even more prevalent due to its height. You can also see that the chosen location is surrounded by a very high and solid rock outcropping. So the building site will allow the building to be placed between those ledge outcroppings, and it will just fit provided we can be closer to the rear lot line. What is less evident is that this is also an ideal location, as it will be entirely out of view from all of the rear butters and borders property for all that is virtually unusable and out of sight due to the steep grade and heavy vegetation. We've spoken to some of our rear lot line and other abutters, and we have been told we have their full support to proceed with the building. In fact, too, the Murrays and the Maglios have offered to send you letters in support. I didn't take them up on it in fairness and respect of their time, but if you'd like them, I'm sure I could get them. In short, what we plan to do just simply has no impact on any of those abutters. Likewise, the need to exceed the maximum height of 12 feet, I think it is, for the accessory building is due to compliance with the average existing grade for the wall height calculation. So when finished, the building will still be a relatively low one-story building. Here, too, if built in the most desirable location, the garage will be mostly hidden by the existence of the ledge on both sides. So the side abutters would only have limited, if any, view of the building at all. Again, simple design, a box with a sloped roof, attractive siding doors and windows, and will again be nearly completely out of sight. And although probably largely irrelevant, it will take the place of an existing temporary storage shelter, which will be an appealing. So there's really no alternative that would avoid a significant amount of natural land or existing yard destruction, possible risk to the main house foundation, substantial cost, all of which can be avoided by using the proposed site without disruption to anyone or anything on our or the neighboring properties. And based on that, and with the support of our neighbors, we request your approval of our application as submitted.
Thank you. Questions right off of the board? So the height is 25'6", I believe?
Going from memory here, I think it's 21 to the foundation.
Right, but from average grade, it's 4 more feet, yeah. 5'6".
It could be you're looking at it. I don't have that off the top of my head.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Want to get that on the
I
record.
believe it's 17 above grade at the front, if I remember that correctly.
Any other questions? Okay, we can have a seat. We'll take public testimony. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of the application? I remind everyone, because we're on Zoom, so people at home can join in. You just hit your raise hand button on your device. If you're in the audience, just come forward and give us your name and address for the record. Give us a second to record that, and then tell us how you feel. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Seeing none. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the application? Any opposition? Seeing no one, we'll close public testimony. Discussion by the board or a motion?
Yeah, I don't have any issues. I think it's a good project. I think it's not affecting anyone at the rear. I went up there this afternoon, looked it over. There is heavy vegetation in the back. There's plenty of ledge. I think there's reasonable hardship wanting to place the building there. And height is going to affect nothing in the back. So I think it's a good project.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. Certainly, a lot of ledge creates issues as to where you can put it. There's lots of room out there. It doesn't seem like it's really going to impede on anyone. I'll support the application too.
Okay, we'll entertain a motion.
I can do that. Petition of Paul and Gretchen Goss seeking special permit 1.10.1 and 3.1.6, increased building height and variance 1.7, rear yard setback for accessory structure. I think there is a hardship, as I just described, and I think the special permit for height is reasonable and won't affect anyone at the rear. So I would move approval of the special permit and of the variance.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call vote.
Mr. Nyman?
Yes on both.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes on both.
Ms. Schlichty?
Yes, for all the relief requested.
Mr. Parisi?
I also vote yes. You've heard our decisions favorable. Either of you an attorney? Okay, we'll write a decision and get it out to you as soon as possible. Thank you. I'd like to recognize Board Member Peter Canavo, who's joined us and will be acting on the rest of the hearings. Next up is the petition of 6 Rear Neptune Place LLC, seeking to renew, modify a special permit under 1.9.3 and 2.4.5 to demolish and replace a pre-existing non-conforming single-family home to a two-family at 6 Rear Neptune Place. Attorney Favazza.
Allison, do you see me now? I think I can. All right. Okay, hi. Thanks for So for the record, my name is Joel Favazza. I'm an attorney at Seaside Legal Solutions at 123 Main Street here in Gloucester. I'm here on behalf of 6R Neptune LLC, owners of 6R Neptune Place. By way of background, this should all look very familiar to you. We were here earlier this calendar year to get a few special permits, one for change of use from single to a two. One was to alter and expand a previously non-conforming structure, and one was for a lesser number of off-street parking spaces conditioned upon replacing the missing space with an easement space on the neighboring property. So why are we back so soon? There's been a determination from the Inspectional Services Department that the demolition work that's been done has been total or complete demolition, and work has been stopped on the project. We respectfully disagree with that analysis, but rather than appeal the determination, we're going to make some lemonade from lemons, and while we're here anyway, we're going to ask to modify the permit to allow for complete demolition and to also just modify the layout slightly of the building that had been permitted previously. So for a refresher, we are in the R10 district, that is the medium-high density residential district. We have a single-family structure on a non-conforming lot. The lot is undersized, has inadequate frontage and lot width, and the structure also encroaches onto the front and rear setbacks. The ongoing work is the conversion, obviously, as I said, to a single home, from a single-level, single-family home to a two-level, two-family home with a second-floor addition, and we are basically within the existing footprint of the structure. So the relief we're requesting tonight is a modification of the existing permit to include a full demolition and reconstruction under GZO 245, a modification to alter the proposed floor plan layout, and we have to go through section 193 for the standards for that modification. The special permit for the change in use and the special permit for number of off-street parking spaces remains unchanged, so I don't think we need to touch that tonight. So by way of, just to clear up the history of this, my client did not intend to demolish the building. As far as the work being done, does not believe he's demolished the building. This is the view from the driveway. So if you go into the driveway, you can see remnants of the old granite foundation and a newer concrete block foundation. And then if you go around into the yard, you see the rest of it. And you'll see that this is over 6 feet tall. There are multiple rooms. If you get a little closer, you can see there's still a municipal utility connection inside the former basement. And so when you look at what's still there and you go, well, you've completely demolished the house, you go, well, respectfully, we disagree. The GZO has a definition for what a structure is, and it very clearly says that walls and fences not exceeding 6 feet in height are not considered to be structures, but anything else that is constructed or erected which requires a fixed location on the ground is a structure. So if I had a vacant lot and I wanted to build what's currently there today, I couldn't without a building permit. and I couldn't without zoning relief. So this is still a structure per the ordinance. What does demolition mean? Well, the GZO has no definition for what demolition is. You go to Webster's dictionary, they say it's to tear down or raze. The definition of raze, by the way, is to destroy to the ground, to break to pieces, to do away with, or whatever. So again, has the entire structure been destroyed to the ground? No, there's still considerable amounts of the structure there. Has the entirety of the structure been broken to pieces? No, again, those walls are still up. You can walk in them, you can lean on them, you can stand on them. So this structure has not been completely demolished. So again, we respectfully disagree that this work should have been stopped. But again, rather than appeal the determination, we'll go for the modification instead. And so we have these two little areas shown in blue on the proposed modification. You'll see that originally they're going to square off an existing bump out. They're going to just maintain the bump out now, and they're also going to reconfigure the entrance on the first floor. None of this requires any new relief. It's all still special permit to alter, expand. It's just slightly different. And in fact, if you notice from the first floor plan on the left, which you approved previously, to the one on the right, by shrinking down that little area and sending the stairs in a different direction, there's a chance they can actually squeeze another car past those stairs, and that would be 3 on site, which is what's required, plus the 4th in the easement area. So we think this actually will benefit the ability to bring in another car. Again, we're not touching the permit for parking, but just as a bit of background, I want to let you know that we think there's some bonus to reconfiguring it this way. And then that shows you the bump out on the second level, again, also being maintained rather than eliminated. So you can modify permits as long as the interests of the neighborhood are not impaired. Again, it's the same end result, taking the old house that was a single, going to a 2, going up another level. You have to have due notice and public hearing. Here we are. We saw the advertisement, we saw the agenda, and there has to be good cause. Well, we're stopped. Work was stopped, so we got to modify it. And if we're going to get a full demolition permit, might as well put it to good use. And so when you go through the actual modification of the floor plan, like I mentioned, only benefits the neighborhood in that we think we can get one more car off the street if we swing the stairs the other way. Again, due notice and public hearing. Here we are, good cause. Making things better and increasing on-site parking, I think, is one of the better causes that could come with asking for a modification. We also have the 2, 4, 5 factors. So you have to make sure the replacement structure is not substantially more detrimental than the previous one. It's very similar to the alter expand. You found the last time it was not substantially more detrimental. I would ask you to find that again here. The plans for demolition and replacement have to be permitted at the same time. Everything's submitted tonight for the same time. Construction and replacement follows demolition. As soon as we get that stop work order lifted, the crew returns and resumes work. And then there's that last bit about the increase in footprint complying, and case law has since removed that. We talked about that at a recent meeting on a different project where you no longer need setbacks, variances for setback violations on the modification. And then to the degree anyone's concerned about losing the non-conforming status, as we've discussed recently at another hearing, you have up to 2 years from when a structure is demolished. Even if, you know, if we were to capitulate and say it's been demolished, we'd still have 2 years to come back. We are 2 months from when it, you know, got to this state. So again, we're looking to modify the existing special permit to allow for the complete demolition and to modify the floor plans as presented. I thank you, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
So if you're granted this relief, you're going to take that foundation out too?
Yeah, I think they'll take at least more of it out. Yeah. Right.
Okay, if there's no other questions right now, we'll begin public testimony. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the application, please come forward or raise your hand if you're on Zoom. Anyone in favor? None. Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the application? Opposition. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Discussion?
So if I recall, the first time this came in, the applicant was originally looking for a higher roof pitch. And the applicant adjusted the application to lower the roof. So you're still proposing that same roof height.
Correct.
I think I was anticipating some neighborhood opposition. But answered it with the last one. So your position that actually what was done was within the original permit because you still have a foundation, so the structure's still there. It's not like the last one that came on Parker Court where really wasn't much evidence as to where the building was or what existed. I know we're still, I think we go, to me, the project as proposed is not, I don't have a problem with this as I did with the other one. I am a little concerned about how we get to these positions where they're, is it demolished or is it not demolished? And do we clearer, I think, in our decisions or our orders so there's not this starting projects and stopping projects and, you know, at what point do you come for modification or not come for modification? I mean,
So the issue in this situation, though, is he didn't ask to demolish the building.
right,
What's not before us is his opinion hasn't demolished.
hasn't
Building
appealed that.
inspector argues
Yeah.
that he has. That's not before us.
Right, I would agree.
So, and I think all I would say is, we couldn't have defined it on this one because it wasn't asked.
Right, right. That may be something for this board to discuss as a separate issue, but, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an important issue, but I just think
Yeah.
it's not before us, that's all.
Right. I'm just noting that this is the second one in a few months that have come before us. You know, I think possibly getting another car on that spot is advantageous for the neighborhood. I think that and that is good cause to modify a special permit. More parking is always good. I know you have that other parking that's by easement on the neighbor's property that we can't consider parking requirements, but I think that's always an advantage. And certainly, I would agree with Michael, if taking out that foundation is going to make for a stronger and more flood resilient building, that's also a good reason to modify a special permit. So that's all I have.
I think the one thing we could work on going forward is we don't ask enough questions about, the plans don't talk about, okay, we're going to take these walls down. They say, oh, we're going to do this, or we're going to go up, or we're going to go out. I mean, maybe we should just be allowing tear down as part of that same permit. I don't think the bar is any higher, right?
On this one, I would agree.
No?
It's no higher at all.
So I just think going forward, maybe we should be asking more questions on an applicant who's choosing not to ask for a 2.4.5, but is just saying they're going to alter and expand. If on the plan they give us, it only shows alter and expand a little bump out, then I don't think we should tolerate the whole building coming down, because that was not the plan we stamped and approved, you know? That should take a second look back at the drawing, but in this case, it's different, but okay, I just wanted to talk about, we should be thinking about that down the road. Anybody else? Entertain a motion?
You can, or I can do it. It's up to you.
On the petition of 6 Rear Neptune Place LLC seeking to renew or modify a special permit to demolish and replace a pre-existing non-conforming single-family home at 6 Neptune Place, and to modify the special permit to go from a 1 to a 2 to allow for the change of the front entry and the bump out. I would move approval of both of those requests for modification.
Second on both.
Michael, you seconded?
I did.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded, roll call vote.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Mr. Nyman,
Yes on both.
Ms. Schlichty,
Yes.
Mr. Canavo, Mr. Parisi.
No. Passes 4-1. Thank you.
Would you like a draft decision?
Yep, that'd be great. Okay, our next hearing is the petition of Paula Mulcahy seeking a variance for side yard setback to install a pool at 9 Bertoni Road. Online, Allison? Okay, you there?
Yep.
Into a voice.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, who's speaking? I'm
Hi, my
looking at
name,
4 people.
my name is Debbie Greger, and I'm here with Ambassador Pools. And we've
And
been,
we need
so,
your address of your
yep,
company.
it's 1020 Turnpike Street, Canton, Mass. 02382.
Okay, go ahead.
I actually have been working with Ms. Mulcahy on planning to install an above ground pool. We're hoping for relief on the side setback to 3 feet. When they built this house, it was required that they put in like a drain leaching area for runoff from the roof. And
Water garden.
yeah, water garden. Um, because of the placement of that, we don't want to put any weight on it with the pool. So we're hoping to have the pool to the right side of the property, keeping the 10-foot setback off the rear. We had looked at putting it kind of in the middle or shifting it the other way, but there is like a museum that's behind them, and we don't want to get too close to that property. This is the smallest pool that we carry, so we tried to make sure we did everything we could to make it work without having to do this. Um, they did speak with their neighbor who agreed and had no issue with it. He actually wrote a letter. So yeah, we're just looking for relief to be 3 feet away from that side setback.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Go to public testimony. Open a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak or in favor of the application? Anyone in favor, please raise your hand or come up to the podium. Anyone seeing none? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the application? And we did receive a letter, correspondence by the neighbor saying he was in favor of it.
By the neighbor whose
To the right, yeah.
sideline the pool's on, yeah.
Yes, that's 7 Bertoni.
Okay, so we've had no opposition. Will discussion by the board or a motion?
You know me, the pool guy. If number 7 was opposed, I would vote against this. Letter from number 7 in support of the pool allows me to vote in favor. Otherwise, I would vote against this. Not because I don't like pools. I have grandchildren. What I don't like about them is they intensify that area of the property. It's not like a shed or a barn, which is quiet.
Quite, the use is intensified, it gets
Very much so.
loud, it's, yeah.
But anyway, with number 7 supporting, I don't have any issue with this pool.
Yeah, I agree, I think
And I
this,
think I think there is a legitimate argument for hardship, you know, with the,
shape of the lot and
in
the
the middle,
water
in the middle of that
drainage.
water drain in the middle of the property, so.
Yeah,
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
I make a motion in the petition of Paula Mulcahy, please pronounce that, seeking a variance for a side yard setback to install a pool at 9 Bertoni Road. I acknowledge the hardship there. They have some drain leaching area. They don't want to get too close to that, and the shape of the lot is a little odd and undersized.
Second that motion.
We have a motion made and seconded on a variance for 9 Bertoni Road. Roll call vote.
Mr. Nyman?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Schlichty?
Yes.
Mr. Canavo?
Yes.
Mr. Parisi?
I also vote yes. I agree the shape of the lot and the dealing with the leaching for the drainage constitutes a hardship, and we'll approve it. So we will get a decision out to you, reasonable time. I don't know how quick you'll be swimming, but,
Probably not till spring.
all righty, thank you.
Thank you guys all. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Debbie.
Oh, how did they come across?
Okay, our next application is the petition of 57 Wingershik LLC seeking a special permit, 1.9, 1.10.3, 1.10.1 to alter, expand a non-conforming structure and modify a previous special permit to the height and special conditions variances under 1.7.3 side yard setback at 57 Wingershik Road.
Thank you. Once again, for the record, my name is Joel Favaza. I'm an attorney at Seaside Legal Solutions with an address of 123 Main Street here in Gloucester. And this petition is filed on behalf of 57 Wingershik LLC, owner of 57 Wingershik Road. So the proposed work highlighted in red on these plans is to build out the existing attic by adding dormers on all sides within the footprint and to convert that top level into additional habitable living space. We are in the R20 low medium density residential district. We are right out in the Wingershik Road area. This is an existing non-conforming single family home. It exists per prior zoning relief. The front yard is short, just under 8 feet. It's supposed to be 30 feet and it's just 22.10. And the right side yard, instead of having 20 feet of setback area, there's 10.5 feet. Applicants acquired this property in 2004, and there was a complete demolition and replacement in 2004 of the structure that had been there previously. So back in 2004, a couple of things happened. They came before this board, and they asked to take down the cottage that was there and build up a new structure. And the relief was granted, and then they went over to Conservation Commission, and they got permission there. And when they began work, I don't know if you guys remember Nancy Ryder, she was the conservation agent at the time. She came out to do an inspection and said, "What the heck is that?" And they said, "That's the foundation." And she goes, "You can't put a foundation in dunes." And they said, "Well, it's on the plans the Concom approved." And she was like, they must not have understood. You have to go back. You can't put a new foundation in 2004, you know, on Wingershik Road in these dunes, right? So they went back to the Conservation Commission. They said, okay. And what they ended up actually doing was demolishing out large pieces of the foundation to turn what was a concrete wall into concrete piers. Now, the problem with that was that all the mechanicals were planned for the basement like you would with a normal house. If there's no more basement, all the mechanicals had to get moved up. And so you had this increase in height on the building itself, and the mechanicals were going to be put up into the third floor. One of the nearby residents, who was a longtime Wingershik resident, remember, you know, Wingershik of old when it was all cottages, was concerned about the mansionification of Wingershik Road. And so at the time, and that was the only opposition at the time, was just that, and that was the general concern. So the applicants agreed, okay, if you give us the height permit so we can build the third floor up to store mechanicals, we'll agree not to make it habitable space. And they took that requirement, and they've lived with that requirement for about 20 years. Well, in the meantime, Wingershik Road has built up. Houses as big or bigger have gone up, none with the restrictions, including the property where this woman who was in opposition used to live. That small cottage she had is now a much larger, much taller house. And the owner of that house is one of the people in support of the modification we're requesting tonight. So we're looking for a special permit to alter and expand. Again, you can make the findings saying that there's no increase of nonconformity because we're not, you know, violating any further out toward the property lines, but this board has on previous occasions said if you're going up within the setback area, that's an increase in massing. We want to get the special permit issued, not just the determination. So we need one of those. If the board wants to, the board can amend the variance. I think the Diedrich case that came out has made this variance unnecessary, but this house does exist as it sits pursuant to a variance, and so we would request an amendment to that variance to the degree it's required. Again, the board might make a finding that the variance is void or moot because it's no longer necessary, that would be okay also. And then we need either a new special permit to exceed the maximum height or an amendment to the previous permit for exceeding the maximum height to one, take into account the new roof line, which is again no taller than the previous one, and two, to remove the condition that the third floor not be used for habitable space. Per usual, I have all of the building plans and site plans that were submitted in the application, and so we can go through any of those if you have any questions. Actually, you can see that last one, A23, you can see the little red footprint of the parts that are being dormered out. So it's not the entire roof being brought up to this one, block height. It's the taller portion of the house getting dormered out toward the center of the structure.
Are the utilities up on the third floor?
Yeah.
Are they going to stay there?
Yeah.
Oh,
There's some satellite photography also. So as you can see, I'm sure much to the chagrin of the neighbor who was concerned in 2004, Wingersheek Road is now today what it is today, and this house fits right in with the neighborhood. It's not the big house on the road. That's one more picture of it. So this is the simple alter or expand standard. You have to find that the alteration or expansion is not going to be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than what presently exists. Again, that alteration and expansion being the dormers within the footprint centered on the structure. And again, we have support from the neighbors to the left and to the right and several more to the left. This little slide right here shows you in yellow the portion of the dormered area that is within the right side yard setback. So that the degree that you think a special permit is needed because there is an increase in the nonconformity, it would be that little yellow part. The rest of the red is within the, the existing footprint and within the existing height permit that was granted. Again, I don't think you're going to have any detriment to the neighborhood. It's the same roof ridge height as is there currently. It's just pulling out the dormers to get some more space up there. For the variance amendment, if you want to modify the variance, again, we have a front yard and a right side yard encroachment. The right side yard got the variance. You would have to find that there'd be a substantial hardship due to the topography, shape, et cetera, of the lot or the structure. The lot per Wingersheek, but unlike most of the other R20, is really skinny and narrow because they're all trying to grab a piece of the beach starting at Wingersheek Road and going out to the water, right? So this kind of narrow lot that you want to build houses laterally against because you want it to look out that way, right? So you have to twist your house 90 degrees perpendicular to the alignment of the property, right? And if you say, hey, listen, we don't want to, we think there's going to be a problem going to the side yard setback, we have these weird lopsided dormers that for the neighborhood is going to be less appealing when you drive by this house as a weird, like almost like if you see Finding Nemo, like his Lucky Fin, you'd have like the lucky dormer that was like too small and what happened here, right? So the hardship relates to the shape of the lot, the placement of the house. The relief being granted is not going to harm the public good or derogate from the intent of the zoning ordinance. It's going to make the house look correct. And again, it's going to be no closer to any other property than it is currently. And if it was coming before you for the first time today, wouldn't even need a variance to begin with. And the special permit for height, you have to make sure that we are not going to be inconsistent with neighborhood character. Again, there are plenty of 2.5-story houses that have been pulled up onto piles to comply with wetlands regulations and FEMA regulations. You have to make sure that we're not going to be substantially detrimental to the neighborhood because of obstruction of views, overshadowing, et cetera. Again, we're not getting any taller than it already is, and we have a lot of neighborhood support from the neighbors who would be most likely to be impacted if there were to be an impact. Again, the neighbor to the north is the Atlantic Ocean, the south is conservation land, and so it's only neighbors to the east and the west. And you can see from this little picture here, the blue stars around the yellow box being the property itself, the blue stars being neighbors who have provided written support and have reviewed the plans. So again, we're back on that modification standard. Once again, you have to make sure the interests of the neighborhood and city are not being impaired. Again, I think it's a good design. It's very minor work. Proper notice, we properly applied and we're here at a public hearing. and good cause shown, the conditions that led to the original restriction are no longer present on Wingershik Road. Not just that the one personal abutter who had the specific objection is no longer out there, but the nature of the structures out on Wingershik Road in the last 20 years have changed. And unfortunately, I think what she was afraid of happening happened nonetheless. And so to hold this property back from being able to do with all the neighbors have done without restriction, I think would be unfair. So I think there's good cause here for the sake of, equity, that we allow them to be unrestricted as their neighbors are. So again, that's 3 pieces of relief: a special permit to alter and expand to add the dormers, amending the right side yard variance, and modifying or re-granting the special permit to exceed the maximum height without the restriction on use as to the 3rd floor. And I thank you again, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, any immediate questions? All right, we'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the application? Please raise your hand or come forward. Anyone in favor? None. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the application? Any opposition? Again, none. No need for rebuttal. We'll close the public hearing. Discussion by the board.
I have no issues at all.
Yeah, so we get it right, I think the 3 on the last screen, those 3 changes makes the most sense, to alter and expand, renew the height without any restriction to use, and then the amend the variance. I mean, I think that's what we've been having to do. Right? Agree?
Amend the variance because it was,
Well,
Is that what we've done? I mean, because I think,
that's what we used to do, but then there has been recent case law that says under modification to alter or expand, unless you're creating a new
asking for in the middle.
setback.
Yeah, so if I may, if you find that the standards to amend the variance have been met, the hardship, et cetera, then I think it would be safest just to grant it. Again, if this came for you now, this variance wouldn't even be an issue. If this house was being built for the first time, it wouldn't be an issue because recent case law. But we have this kind of overlapping issue where we have a structure that exists pursuant to a variance. It's a variance we probably don't need anymore, but it does exist pursuant to it. So if you find the standards have been met to amend that variance, then I think it'd be safest, and I'd appreciate just amending the variance as a safety measure.
Yeah, I agree. That's what we really should do because we can't make it go away. Finding. So, okay.
And use attorney might.
Ready for a motion?
Luck.
Why I did the last one?
On the petition of 57 Wingershik LLC, seeking a special permit to alter, expand a non-conforming structure, a modification of a previously granted special permit for height to allow for, occupancy of the 3rd floor, and a modification of a right side variance. I would move approval of all of the relief requested. I do think you need the special permit to alter, expand. I know it's not going any further into the setbacks. It's not increasing the height, but it is more mass on the building. So that is a intensification of the nonconformity. I do think that it is, it really is in keeping with that neighborhood. All of those houses are ginormous down there. And this is really no different. It's really not, I don't think, impacting the neighborhood or the use of the land. I would move approval for all the relief requested.
second. For all-
Motion on the floor and seconded. Roll call vote.
Mr. Canavo?
Yes.
Ms. Schlichty?
Yes.
Mr. Nyman?
Yes for alter and expand, yes for modifying the variance, and yes for modifying special permit for height to remove the restriction for habitability on the 3rd floor.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes, for all relief requested.
Mr. Parisi?
Yes. Heard our decision's favorable. Appreciate the draft.
Will do. Thank you very much.
That woman was right. Okay, our next hearing is the petition of Lee Swiggett and Peter Gloomset seeking a special permit to alter and expand a non-conforming structure under 1.9 and a variance 1.7, 3.2.1 front yard setback at 13 Marble Road. And, yep, you got it, Allison? Danielle, you're muted.
Is that better?
That's loud, though. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. My name is Danielle Abelo. I'm with Carpenter and McNeil Architects and Builders at 106 Western Ave in Essex. And we are representing Lee Swigert and Peter Glomset in this petition tonight. We are requesting a special permit 3.1.2. I know the variance was in there. We are not requesting a variance. There was an error in the application. There was one line miswritten. But we are only looking to alter a pre-existing structure, which is within the front yard setback. That structure has been there for about 100 years. The foundation is weakened, not sufficient to rebuild any portion on top of that. So we would like to rebuild in the same footprint, a new volume that will be 2 stories in height, which increases our massing of that volume. We'll also have a new landing and steps to the front door at this volume, which increases our encroachment a little bit because of the requirement, the code requirement for a landing at an exterior door, which was not existing on the current project. We have a letter from Jason Grow in a butter who is in favor of this project. I believe you have that.
So, yeah, so first when I was looking at it, I was thinking it was a variance for front yard setback, but we're just talking about the 3 red boxes, right?
Yes, 2 of the red boxes, the 2 red boxes in the rear of the plan, on
They're all conforming, yeah.
are all conforming. It's only the front volume, that front red box, that is not, and we'd be rebuilding on an existing footprint.
Great, thank you. Any questions by the board at this time? All right, we'll go to public testimony. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of the application? Please raise your hand or come forward. Anyone in favor? False start? That was walking. Anyone in opposition to the application? Any opposition? None. We'll close public testimony. Discussion by the board or a motion?
So just a question, so the relief, they have to include that landing outside of the 2-story structure, right? So it's 13.3, is that what it is? I'm just looking at the table here. So it's not a variance,
No, there's no variance.
it's intensifying an existing
right. Oh, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
nonconformity, right? With the second story as well as extending out
Walkway.
the walkway,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Straight alter and expand.
can make
Yes,
it if you
that's
want.
correct. So
Go ahead.
expanding the volume with the second story and with this new landing, which is required by code.
Michael, you have a motion?
Yeah, petition of Lee Swigert and Peter Glomset, excuse me, seeking special permit to alter, expand a non-conforming structure, 1.9 and 3.2.1, front yard setback at 13 Marble Road. I think it's a pretty simple alter and expand. It is increasing the nonconformity with the second floor and also the landing out in front of the existing structure. It's not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call vote.
Ms. Schlichty,
Yes.
Mr. Canavo,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Mr. Nyman,
Yes.
Mr. Parisi.
Yes. Heard our decision's favorable. We'll get a decision out as soon as possible. Catherine?
Thank you very
Right,
much.
Thank you. Okay, 2 more to go. The petition of Salvatore and Emily DiMercurio, seeking a special permit under 1.9, 2.4.3 to alter, expand a non-conforming structure on a non-conforming lot at 238 East Main Street.
Good evening.
Evening.
Horace?
Good evening. My name is Horace Turner, 523 Essex Ave, Gloucester, Mass. I'm here representing Sal and Emily DiMercurio, and they're actually planning to do a second floor addition on a non-conforming lot with a non-conforming structure in the R10 zoning. The second floor will actually be erected in the same footprint as the first floor, over a living room and bathroom. The plan is to actually create a master bedroom and bath on the second floor with a deck extending. The deck extending out will be out no further than the existing stoop that's there on the property.
Like an inch or two shy is what it looked to me like.
That's correct, yeah. And the new roof that's actually being put on will be no higher than the existing roof that's there. So the existing ridge is actually lower than the 30-foot requirement. And that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Questions for Horace at this point?
Just to try to reflect something that Catherine said earlier is how far down do you think you're going to have to go on that wing? Do you think you're going to have to take down that whole wing before you build it back up?
We're just removing the roof.
So the walls will remain.
We're rebuilding in the same
And you'll
footprint.
go
Yes,
up above, yeah.
that's correct.
Okay, if there's no other questions, we'll take public comment. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the application, please come forward or raise your hand. Anyone in favor? None. Is there anyone in opposition to the application? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? No one? Close the public hearing. Discussion or motion by the board? Thank you.
Petition of Salvatore and Emily DiMercurio, seeking special permit 1.9, 2.4.3, alter and expand a non-conforming structure on a non-conforming lot at 238 East Main Street. Clearly, there's an increase in non-conformity. It's not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. I would move approval of the special permit.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded on the application, 238 East Main. Roll call vote.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Mr. Canavo,
Yes.
Mr. Nyman, Ms. Schlichty,
Yes.
Mr. Parisi.
Yes. You've heard our decision's favorable. We will get a decision out. I will write it as soon as possible. Thank you,
Thank you.
Horace. Okay, our final hearing of the evening is the petition of Granite Cove Equities, seeking a special permit 1.8 under 2.3.4 subsection 9 for outdoor seating at 177 Main Street.
Good evening. For the record, Attorney Sal Frontero, 46 Middle Street, Gloucester, for the petitioner. This site is located downtown between Main and Roger Street, the old CVS building. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. It's in the Central Business District, and it's a restaurant, music studio, and bar combination known as The Cut or The Cut Live. The building occupies almost the entire site except for a small portion out back, which ended up being the resulting from the relocation of Roger Street, believe it or not. That little section out back is where Roger Street used to be.
All right.
They're proposing a 10-foot deep by 60-foot wide deck, which would be on the third floor on the Roger Street side and on the first floor on the Main Street side. And if you look at the pictures I submitted, you'll see those long windows that are there. That will be the doors to the deck. Just if you've been inside the venue, it'll be behind the far bar at the venue. When you walk in, the far wall will be behind that. Before coming here, the petitioner got permission from the licensing board and the ABCC to serve alcohol out there. So it was part of their seating plan that was submitted and approved. So we're seeking a special permit pursuant to 2.3.4 and 1.8.3 for a restaurant with outdoor seating. And this board is authorized to issue such a special permit upon a written determination that the proposed use will be in harmony with the general purpose of the zoning ordinance, and it will not adversely affect the neighborhood, the zoning district, or the city to such an extent as to outweigh the beneficial effects of such use. And as this board knows, under section 1.8.3, there are 7 factors that are looked at. I'm not going to go over them all to list them. I'll just go over them individually as I go. The first is the social, economic, and community needs that are served by the outdoor seating. Here, I think it's important to remember that this venue holds quite a few people, and it's got the potential, and it already is sort of becoming an anchor for downtown. I've heard from other restaurants down there that have actually benefited from the shows here. They get people that go to other restaurants in the area, and any retails that are open in the area, they'll go there. And I think one thing that's very important to remember is that people come to Gloucester usually for tourism, but when you bring somebody in for, I call it a captive audience, they come here for a show, they discover Gloucester, they like it, they come back. So I think that's a huge community need met by this restaurant, and the outdoor seating will only enhance that. And also, it'll be overlooking the harbor, which will make it much more attractive. The second factor is traffic flow and safety. It's already a very busy downtown area, and what's important to remember is that the deck will not change the venue capacity at all. It'll remain the same. So the venue capacity is 496. That stays the same. So it's like it's going to result in more people being allowed in. They'll just be relocated to the deck instead of being in the venue. Also, there's a parking area, a small parking area out back in that small little area that used to be Roger Street. That will still be there when this is done, so they won't lose any parking. And also, as far as the, when there's a concert or whatnot, there's plenty of parking in the area. There's the I-4C2 lot and other municipal lots in the area, and that has not been a problem thus far. Again, that won't change. Third is the adequacy of utilities and public services. Again, the intensity of the use as far as consuming water and producing sewer and generating electricity, using electricity will be the same. Again, no increase in amount of people allowed on, and we're not aware of any other effects on public services that would be detrimental. Fourth, as far as neighborhood character and social structure, the downtown area is becoming a little bit more mixed use over the years. A lot of residences on second floor. But this area is a little bit different. There's not many residences at all, and right across the street, as you know, is a bank, I-4C2, building center. There's no residences right immediately in the area as far as across the street. So, but I think it will fit into the neighborhood character and social structure. It already is a mix of both commercial and residential. And as far as the fifth element, the qualities of the natural environment, again, it's already densely built up. It's already served by water and sewer. The area where the deck pilings will go is already an impervious surface, so we're not going to change that. It's not in a flood zone, so there'll be no issues there. It's not in a, it's not in a wetlands buffer zone either. And as to the seventh element, which is the vulnerability to flooding and flood damage, including the potential for sea rise, again, it's up the Roger Street side would be the side that would be affected if the sea level rose, and it's already off the ground by 3 stories in the back. So even if flooding changed, it would be unaffected. So it basically would swamp the pilings, and that's it. So I think for those reasons that the petitioner has proven that the outdoor seating will be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the zoning ordinance. It would not adversely affect the neighborhood, the zoning district, or the city to such an extent as to outweigh the beneficial effects of the use, and the special permit should issue. And I should also mention, I have here with me today Tom Clark, who is the former project manager who helped design this, and he's now the concert and event manager as well. So he can answer some other questions if you have them that are not legal related. Thank you.
Well, question, this venue was granted under a city council special permit?
No, actually, it was allowed as of right.
As of right?
Yep.
So the signs and everything didn't come before us?
The sign I always found it to be a bit of a mystery how that, they got a permit for it.
How'd that get up without a permit?
Yeah, I had the same question, quite frankly, and I thought that would come before me, but apparently they were able to get a permit for it. I'm not sure how it happened, but.
My other question is, so the dumpsters, I don't know that they can stay under a deck, but that's your other people, but it's worth thinking about.
Sure. If that's not allowed, they can certainly make that adjustment.
So none of my business, but I'm just curious. I mean, when I was over there looking, with the structure coming down, the poles coming down, I'm just a little surprised. Maybe they looked into it engineering wise, bringing it back, because you have a solid foundation down there. I'm just a little surprised that the structure's not coming back down sort of diagonally to the structure,
Like
instead of landing in the middle. Yeah, cantilever.
Cantilever.
Yeah.
I kind of thought the same thing as when I questioned them about that.
I understand why the poles would be in the middle of the parking lot.
Yeah, well, one of the specific questions I did ask them when they proposed this is, are you losing any parking spaces? Are you concerned about, the hitting poles when they park? And apparently it's going to be designed to withstand that if it ever did happen. They're not losing any parking. But, it's funny you should say that, because that did leap to mind for me as well.
It's a poured foundation.
Right.
It's not like it would buckle or anything
Right,
like that. And I'm
right.
sure steel structure. Anyway, I'm not an engineer, but that was my first
No,
thought.
I see your point. I had the same sort of visceral response when I first looked at it as well.
So is this area just for dining and drinks, or is there going to be music or entertainment out there?
No entertainment out there. It's only 10 deep by 60 wide. And, they don't really serve food very often in that part of the venue, but if there's a function there, they might. So it's not in the restaurant area, it's in the venue area. So it would be mostly people having a drink out in the deck, which again has already been approved by the licensing board and the ABCC.
Is this accessed by the venue side?
Yeah, the venue is, if you've been there, it's behind the restaurant.
Yeah.
So you go on the Main Street side and you have to walk all the way through the restaurant and the venue, and it's right out back there.
Okay, no other questions. We'll take public testimony. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the application, please raise your hand or come forward. Anyone in favor?
Stick around just for this. Joel Favazza, 28 Middle Street. I'm a downtown resident. I'm a downtown business owner. I think we as a city are so beneficial that the owners of the Cut took a chance on Gloucester and put that much investment into a facility like that in our downtown. I think the fact they want to reinvest and make it even better with this deck is incredible. I think is right in harmony with the purpose and intent of the zoning ordinance, and I would urge you to please allow them to construct this deck. As far as the captive audience, Attorney Frontiero spoke about, you should see the view of the harbor from the ground level. I can only imagine being up on that deck, how many people are going to be encouraged to spend more time, spend more money, maybe make a life for themselves here in Gloucester after enjoying that deck. So I urge you to approve it. Thank you very much.
Anyone else in favor? Anyone in opposition? None. We'll close public testimony. Motion?
I can, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I do think the Cut's been a great addition to Main Street, and I live very close to the Cut, and I don't see any problem with noise or traffic, yeah, there's more people downtown at night, but there wouldn't have been there before. It's not like there's a problem with parking, so I think this is a nice addition to the existing facility. So on the petition of Granite Cove Equities seeking a special permit for outdoor seating at 177 Main Street, I would move approval of the relief requested.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call vote.
Mr. Canavo?
Yes.
Mr. Nyman,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Schlichty,
Yes.
Mr. Parisi.
Yes, you've heard our decision. We'd appreciate a draft.
Be happy to do that. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Any other business for the board? Allison, you'll change the calendar on the date we changed? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Nyman? Ms. Schlichty,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Mr. Canavo,
Yes.
Mr. Parisi.
Yes. Reminder, our next meeting will still be here on the 29th, and then we move to City Hall on September 12th.